At the Donggun shelter camp in front of the big gate, there were two people, one tall and one small, both wearing black cloaks. From inside, a man stepped into the garden, muttering, "Who could it be at this hour?" His face was angry as he chased them away. "Please leave, it's already crowded here, we can't take in anyone else." The elderly woman begged him, "Please forgive me, I really have nowhere else to go." She held out a hand, dirty and rough, with a coin in her palm. Seeing the money, the man immediately opened the gate and ordered, "Follow me." The white-haired boy beside the woman stayed silent and just followed her. Night fell over the dilapidated place called the shelter camp. The man led the two upstairs to a room and opened the door. The room looked old and hadn't been cleaned. "It's late, so I'll explain the camp rules and the responsibility fees tomorrow," he said unhappily. "I'm leaving now." The woman bowed deeply in thanks. "Thank you." She helped the boy onto the bed. "Sit here." She took off his hat, her voice gentle. "You must be tired." The boy with round cheeks and blue eyes looked up and replied sympathetically, "You must be having a hard time, too." The woman pressed her lips together, sweat dripping down her temple. "Yes." She stood up, stroked his head, and comforted him. "Just take a short nap. Help will come soon, so try to rest today." The boy obediently smiled and said, "Okay." Moonlight shone through the window as the boy fell asleep peacefully on the bed. The woman sat beside him, raising her hand to her mouth, coughing a few times. When she lowered her hand, her palm was covered in blood. She trembled weakly. "Please, you have to be happy." The boy hesitated, then she collapsed straight onto the bed. The boy sensed something and woke up, rubbing his eyes, asking, "Helen? The person next to me, is she asleep?" He realized Helen wasn't responding, saw the pool of blood, and touched it. Then screamed. The boy knew Helen was gone, tears welling up, shouting her name in despair. "Helen!" The shelter managers, a husband and wife, stood outside the room. The husband angrily scolded, "What bad luck, why did she have to die here and cause trouble?" "Oh." The wife sighed and asked, "What should we do with the boy?" The husband replied, "Since his hair color is similar to Bao Lai's, just let him go with her. They'll look like a poor mother and son, right?" Just then Bao Lai came over. "Ah, Bao Lai, perfect timing. From today, take him with you to work." "Yes," Bao Lai replied. The manager couple left, grumbling. "Anyway, this isn't a charity, but since they're paired up, at least some money can be made." The Donggun shelter looks like a royal charity organization taking care of those with nowhere else to go and receiving aid. But it exploits children under the guise of responsibility fees for profit. In reality, it exploits children under the guise of responsibility fees to make money. It's a cruel place. The boy's obedient figure sitting there reflected in Bao Lai's eyes. She spoke up to greet him. "Hello, my name is Bao Lai. From now on, you'll stay with me." The boy remained silent, his blue eyes filled with sadness. Seeing him like that, Bao Lai's expression darkened. She sat down beside him. "I don't know what you've been through, but one thing's for sure." Bao Lai placed her hand on his shoulder to comfort him. "You have to survive no matter what. If you can do that, eventually the chance to find happiness will come." She held out her hand to him. "So let's go." "Yes." The boy, as if seeing a light in his life after so many times being extinguished obediently, took Bao Lai's hand. "Yes." Then he began begging in Bao Lai's mother's arms. Although their mother-child relationship was just because of begging, Bao Lai's mother always took care of him. She protected him from being bullied by other kids and other beggars. Because Bao Lai's mother was always by his side, he was never lonely. 5 years later, Bao Lai's mother and the boy, who had grown taller since he first arrived, the boy was now 8 years old, and was Dao Quan. Bao Lai's mother gently said to him, "You've worked hard, sit down." Dao Quan affectionately replied, "Bao Lai's mother, you've worked hard, too." He put down his money bucket and continued. "This morning I heard that Bao Lai's mother is going to leave soon." Bao Lai didn't look very happy and answered him, "That's right, I heard she's going to work as a servant for some noble estate." Dao Quan happily said, "That's great. If it were Bao Lai's mother, she could do well anywhere." Seeing him happy, Bao Lai smiled brightly and patted Dao Quan's head. "What are you saying?" "Don't worry about me. Take care of yourself." Dao Quan cheerfully replied, "You're messing up my hair." Suddenly he changed his tone and said to her, "Thank you, Mom. These past 5 years since Helen left, I felt like I lost everything. When the kids in the shelter bullied me, and when other beggars caused trouble, you were always there protecting me. Tears kept streaming down his face. So whenever Baolai's mother was here, I was always grateful. Going to a better place, I really want to sincerely congratulate you. Dao Quan trembled as he remembered his old family mother, Father Helen, and now Baolai's mother. Everyone is leaving. Baolai called him Dao Quan. She gently lifted his head. Dao Quan, look at me. His tear-streaked face was cupped in Baolai's hands. She said, just because someone isn't by your side doesn't mean you're alone. She put her hand on his chest. A person is only truly lonely when their heart is empty. Then she placed her hand on her own chest. If you keep holding on to those who have left and quietly look inside yourself, you'll see how much everyone loves and values you. So whenever you feel lonely, close your eyes and feel your heart. Tears also started falling from Baolai's eyes. Mom will always be with you. Dao Quan felt lonely again, but this time he wouldn't feel lost anymore. Baolai's mother, who was always by my side, has left. Wasn't I told to look within my heart whenever I feel lonely, to feel the presence of those who love me? I was told to open the eyes of my heart. The eyes of the heart. Even when I close my eyes, I can still see the world. It's so beautiful. I can see everything: Mom, Dad, Helen, and even Baolai's mother. Everyone. I really am not alone. Thank you, Mom. Baolai's mother, I will never forget you. Inside, a voice urged, get up! Everyone get ready to go to work. 1 year after Baolai's mother left, she's probably still getting used to her new job, so she hasn't contacted me yet. Dao Quan gazed into the distance, worried about whether she was okay. Meanwhile, I was used to begging alone like the other kids. The director assigned me to Area Y, the most profitable zone. Even there, I earned quite a bit and was treated fairly well. The red-haired man came over to comfort him. Dao Quan, you did well today. He pointed to the bodyguard and said to Dao Quan, don't worry, I'm here to protect you from the bad guys. This man is Lake. He's the supervisor of Area Y. One day, after hearing my past, he started treating me well. Yes, Mr. Lake, I'm counting on you today. That's because inside his body there's a dense, bright cluster, and later I learned he's a swordsman who uses mana. However, his mana has a rather dull light. Mana is the energy source that creates everything in this world. Everything absorbs and emits mana through breathing. It subconsciously affects the flow of the world. The dazzling light shone down but didn't bother Dao Quan. On the contrary, he exclaimed, so beautiful. Among them, some like Lake can use mana in special ways through training called mana cultivation. He sat in the city center reflecting on what Lake said earlier. He told me not to think about it because it would be dangerous if I made a mistake, but I've already been able to see it. At that moment, a kind passerby threw him a coin. Dao Quan smiled warmly and thanked them. Thank you. You really have a kind heart. Seeing such an adorable face from a little boy made two kind girls melt. Oh my! Dao Quan drifted into his subconscious. First, I have to get used to seeing both the real object and mana at the same time. The two kind girls left but couldn't help commenting to each other. Such a cute boy. Yeah, I know. After a while, he seemed able to sense the flow from all around. He felt he was doing better than before. Dao Quan was somewhat satisfied. Not long ago, I struggled to see both at once, but now I'm used to it. Still, he felt very dizzy and rubbed his head in frustration. Even so, seeing the real object and the mana overlapping still made me a bit dizzy. At that moment, Lake walked over and called to Dao Quan. As soon as Dao Quan saw Lake, he greeted him, welcome back. I noticed there are a lot of coins in Dao Quan's bowl. He was surprised, that many in such a short time. He happily confirmed, it's because many people have kind hearts. Lake sighed helplessly and advised, that's why you need to be more careful. There are a lot of people out there who can't stand seeing others do well. Dao Quan replied helplessly, yes, I know. Before leaving, Lake reminded him, if you see anyone suspicious or notice anything strange, tell me right away. I'm off now. Saying that, Lake turned and left. Dao Quan bowed politely behind him. Yes, see you later. In his mind, he thought it's best not to say anything. He felt like something was off around him. Actually, since yesterday, I've noticed something very strange. In the crowd, there were a few strangers with an unusually strong and bright mana aura. They seemed to have concentrated mana in their stomachs, just like Lake. But Dao Quan secretly kept an eye on those two. Their mana was very bright. They looked at me from the crowd, then immediately disappeared by jumping across rooftops. Seeing their quick moves surprised Dao Quan. At that moment, someone came over to give him coins, but he was still lost in thought. I can't let anyone know I saw the mana. But they don't seem too dangerous, and I can't let anyone know I saw the mana. Because anything could happen. It's best to keep this to myself. When the coins dropped into the tin can making a clinking sound, Dao Quan quickly expressed his gratitude. Thank you, sir. Have a good day. He picked up the money box, feeling a bit surprised. This box is almost full. I should report it so the camp can replace it. Thinking that, Dao Quan hugged the money box and headed back to camp. Suddenly, he looked up and quickly spotted the person with the bright mana from before. That mana color belongs to them. Dao Quan quickly realized someone was watching him. He really couldn't understand what they wanted. They had never approached him so openly before. Using the reflection on the ground, Dao Quan could detect the whereabouts of those two. One was behind the other beside him. He was worried and hugged the money box tightly. He wanted to get back to camp quickly. As long as I can reach the main camp. Seeing Dao Quan run fast, those two quickly realized they had been spotted by him. Dao Quan ran while silently praying, just hoping to meet Lake, but before he could take many steps, those two closed in. It made him worried. Dao Quan thought he was about to be caught and got scared. No, if this keeps up, I'll... Suddenly, Lake's voice called out from ahead. Lake quickly ran over. He stomped hard on his carriage and jumped up, landing right in front of Dao Quan. Dao Quan also ran toward Lake, calling out, Lake! He suddenly pulled Dao Quan into a hug, reminding him, hold on tight. Then he leapt high into the air. The two others had also caught up by then. They caught up. Let's get to the shelter camp first. Lake sped off at a dizzying pace, not forgetting to warn Dao Quan carefully. Don't drop the money box or you won't eat today. He looked down and asked again, Did you hear me? Dao Quan's face suddenly went blank, making Lake confused. Dao Quan, what's wrong with you? Finally, the two arrived at the camp. Lake told Dao Quan, you go in first. Then he reminded him, with the current security situation, the others will be back soon. Just rest for now, okay? Seeing Dao Quan zoning out, Lake firmly tapped his head. Hey, Dao Quan, wake up. Lake comforted him worriedly. You've been frozen with fear all this time. Those guys can't chase us all the way here, so calm down and go inside. Hearing this, Dao Quan stammered, yes, be careful. At that moment, Dao Quan went inside the room. He raised both hands to his face. His expression showed disbelief, I could see it. How mana flows inside the body when moving. How mana thickens and ripples when power is focused in the limbs. The flow of mana, how it flares up then fades when pushing off to jump onto the roof. After recalling all that, Dao Quan decided, all right, let's give it a try. He placed his hand on his chest, breathed in to channel mana into his body, circulated it, then compressed it inside to use when needed right. After a while, Dao Quan sighed in relief. Now I get it how to use mana. He clenched his fist, eager. I want to try it right now. Outside, two kids were talking. What's going on? No idea, but I heard the others from the dorms were all called back too. The supervisor, hearing the noise inside, knocked hard on the door and told everyone, quiet down. Let me explain. The supervisor said, you're probably wondering why you were called back so suddenly, but don't worry, it's nothing serious. Then he instructed everyone, after each area leader finishes their check, you'll return to your usual work. Yes, but we don't know when that will be, so please stay calm and stay inside your rooms. After giving the kids these instructions, the supervisor called Dao Quan over. As for Dao Quan, he quickly replied, Yes, sir, I'm in charge. The supervisor's eyes turned serious. Listen up. Pack your things. You're going to be transferred somewhere else. Then the supervisor led Dao Quan to a place and told him, Wait here, stay put. The supervisor approached the gate guard, handed over a file, and they started talking. Seeing the two talking made Dao Quan curious. I want to hear what they're saying, but they're too far away, I can't hear clearly. Thinking that he used mana, circulated it and focused it in his hands. Immediately, the gate guard's voice echoed along with the surprise from the dorm area that got relayed to the main area. A kid who used to beg for food. Hearing that, Dao Quan woke up. The supervisor explained, That's what I heard. I think the director seems to like him probably because of his looks. The gate guard agreed with the explanation. Yeah, that sounds reasonable. The supervisor rubbed his neck and sighed. Probably wants to keep him on the premises for safety, plus something happened today. The gate guard asked confusedly, "You mean the Alliance side?" The supervisor confirmed, "Yeah, I heard it's related to two people running away." Listening to their conversation made Dao Quan curious. The Alliance and two people running away. He quickly realized who they were talking about. Could it be they're talking about those people? While thinking, the gate guard called Dao Quan over, "Hey, kid." The sudden call startled him, and he replied, "Yes, sir." The gate guard waved his hand. "Go call Amy." "Following you." He followed the gate guard like a shadow, went up the stairs, and arrived in front of a room. The gate guard quickly knocked, then opened the door and stepped inside. "Call Amy." Dao Quan entered and was startled to see who was inside. The gate guard quickly introduced the girl to Dao Quan. "Hello, from today on, this person will be taking care of you. She's Amy." Then the gate guard introduced Dao Quan to Amy. "And this is Dao Quan from the dorm area. Looks like the kid still can't read." After introducing them to get acquainted, the gate guard quickly left, leaving the two alone in a quiet atmosphere. "All right then, I'll take my leave. Ami, let me ask you, Dao Quan, how old are you?" He awkwardly replied, I'm almost 10 years old." She asked again, "You really can't read?" Dao Quan felt self-conscious when asked, "No, I've never had the chance to learn." Amy then said disdainfully, "Ha, I knew it. Well, what else could you expect from a student from the dorm?" She rubbed her chin, leaned in to look closely at Dao Quan's face, and said, "Starting tomorrow, I'll teach you, so you have to call me teacher. But when we're not in formal situations, you can just call me big sister." Ami seemed very pleased with Dao Quan's face. "For someone from the dorm like you, your face isn't bad at all. When you get praised, you're clueless." "Oh, really?" At that moment, Dao Quan awkwardly asked Ami why he needed to know how to read. "Sorry, why do I have to learn how to read?" Her sister heard this, got annoyed, clenched her teeth, and scolded him. "You came here and still don't know anything about the reading sessions. They should have at least explained a little, for heaven's sake." Then she started explaining the importance of literacy. A reading session is when someone reads a book aloud to a group of listeners on a special occasion. Sometimes it's organized by the author of a new book, or it can be regularly held by the nobles as a social gathering. Finally, Ami summed it up. You could say it's a refined hobby for the upper class. Dao Quan looked confused. "Does that happen at the orphanage too?" She confirmed. "Yet you'll participate in sponsored reading sessions in front of the patrons. Then if a child is lucky, they get chosen to do a special reading." Dao Quan didn't know and asked another question. "A special reading," Ami patiently explained. "If you read well, you usually get adopted. The chosen child reads the book alone in front of the patron." For a kid who didn't know how to read yet, this probably sounded like something from another world. He quickly understood. "Ah, I get it now." Seeing Ami staring at him made Dao Quan puzzled. She was surprised that he didn't show any fear at all. This kid's not scared. Seeing Dao Quan like that made Ami interested, so she patted his head. After finishing the explanation, she waved to call Dao Quan. "Follow me." He politely replied and ran after her. "Yes, ma'am." Ami took Dao Quan to a room and introduced him. "This is Dao Quan from the dormitory area. Don't cause trouble, get along well." Then she pointed to a bed. "The bed in the far left corner is yours." "Yes, understood." "Okay." Before leaving, Ami reminded him. "Don't make a fuss." "Yes, ma'am." Dao Quan arrived at a locker and was a bit surprised when putting his things away. "There's a locker just for me." "That's unusual." At that moment, a boy from the same room spoke up. "Hey." The boy came closer, curious. "Are you really from the dormitory area?" "Are you really from the dormitory area?" Dao Quan was a bit embarrassed to answer. "Yes." The boy excitedly exclaimed. "Wow, that's awesome." "Yes." The boy exclaimed excitedly. "Wow, that's awesome. I've never met anyone from the dorms before." Then he introduced himself. "I'm Theo." Theo then introduced the other friends to Dao Quan. "And these are Noah, Hayden, and Lily." Being warmly welcomed by friends made him feel a bit awkward, out of curiosity. "So you've been beaten before," he said, and then told Dao Quan, "Don't worry, we're not as mean as those kids over there." Dao Quan heard that and replied back, "Oh, I see." At that moment, Theo told Dao Quan about the benefits he would receive. "You won't have to go begging outside anymore. The kids in the main building take part in book readings and only manage the library, greet guests, and help at the front desk. Our room is in charge of the library. We're responsible for organizing and managing the books there. Dao Quan became a bit curious hearing about the books. Having said that, Theo immediately turned to the others and said, "Let's warmly welcome Dao Quan." "Welcome, Dao Quan. We're really glad you joined us." That night, Dao Quan lay in bed but couldn't fall asleep. He kept thinking about what Bao Lai said. Is it true that inside those books the whole world of knowledge is contained? Dao Quan was a very curious kid who would definitely love that. Dao Quan was really looking forward to it. He wanted to read books so badly. Books, huh? He slowly closed his eyes, still a bit in disbelief that his wish had come true. The next day, Dao Quan began his reading journey. First, he started with the easy books, and then they lived happily ever after in the area. Once Dao Quan finished reading and closed the book, Ami's voice rang out. "Dao Quan, yes," she shouted to check. "Bring out the books you read today." "Yes, ma'am." Ami started to inventory them all. Dai Tai is not lonely. Hien is dead Belich. The gold pigs share the fluffy bride. Suddenly her face darkened, making Dao Quan worried. Her expression? Amy is Army's friend and spoke up with praise. "Enough with the fairy tales. Let's move on to the novels in area number 2, okay? Sha, you did well today." The compliment made Dao Quan happy. "Thank you, Army." Then he began to wonder, could I be imagining things? His eyes lit up. Now I can read books in area 2. Dao Quan asked Army, can I stay a bit longer to read before heading back to the dorm?" She casually replied, "Sure, go ahead." Dao Quan went to area number 2 feeling excited. Area number 2 is where the books that adults often read are gathered. There's definitely a lot of interesting stuff there. He looked at every book and found them really fascinating. This one looks so interesting. And this whole book too. And this one as well. While searching for books, Dao Quan suddenly noticed a book with a different cover. The book's title was The Birth of the Kingdom of Grafton and the Alliance. Dao Quan was curious about the Alliance. He then opened the book and read, feeling like, so that small, remote place is actually where I'm living. Dao Quan immersed himself in the book. One of the Grafton principalities won after a long war. And afterward, the world was reorganized into a system consisting of a kingdom and 6 autonomous principalities. Later, to prevent war and maintain social order and welfare, the king established an organization. That organization was the Alliance. They fought for more than 200 years for peace and stability. They were originally thought to be good and kind people. At this point, Dao Quan was very curious. Then why did someone like La Kei have to run away? Could begging be something bad? But he lived peacefully with the local supervisors. What's certain is that the shelter and the Alliance don't seem to have a good relationship. And for some reason, the shelter is hiding what happened that day. Dao Quan grew very curious. What exactly are they hiding? After finishing reading, Dao Quan returned the book to its place. The mana inside him kept spreading out continuously. Dao Quan was tidying up while controlling his mana. Then he finally stopped. Dao Quan looked up thoughtfully. Although it's not perfect yet, moving while circulating mana has become easier to control. Whenever I do chores, I usually sit down, breathing mana comfortably. But now things are different. I've been training to circulate mana even while moving. Thanks to that, I can move and operate mana at the same time, even while reading a book. At this moment, Dao Quan placed his hand on his chest, feeling puzzled. However, the mana density didn't increase at all. Why does the mana just keep dispersing and won't gather? It's a bit disappointing, but I'll try little by little, step by step. At this time, Amy gathered everyone together. A middle-aged woman standing next to her smiled brightly. All right then, today. Then she chose, who should we pick today? Looking at today's situation, After a moment, she selected 3 people, Theo, Lily Noah, and Dao Quan. Being chosen suddenly surprised him. Yes. She stepped in front of Dao Quan and said, you can't let him, the one who just stepped out of a fairy tale, join today's reading. However, she suddenly covered his face with her hands, stating firmly, if he's there, he'll definitely stand out a lot. So today, just observe and feel the atmosphere first, okay? Yes. Dao Quan listened and bowed in gratitude. Thank you for caring about me, Deputy Director. Seeing that he understood, she praised good. After she finished choosing, Amy clapped to get everyone's attention. Then announced, all right, the 10 called change your clothes and gather in the reception hall." The kids felt annoyed that Dao Quan, who just came in, was already getting attention. They whispered, "He just finished reading a fairy tale. Isn't this a bit unfair?" Hearing this, Theo wanted to remind them. But before Theo could finish, Dao Quan stepped out in stand-out, sharp, top-quality clothes. "Yes." Theo stepped forward to compliment Dao Quan. "You look really handsome. You really stand out." Receiving the compliment from Theo, Dao Quan politely responded, "Thanks. Theo is cool too." Amy instructed, "Dao Quan, you can sit over there." "Yes, ma'am." At that moment, all 10 chosen people sat neatly. Army spoke up to remind everyone, "Get ready. The guests have arrived." Immediately, some ladies walked in through the door. One of the girls suddenly recognized Dao Quan. "Oh my, is that really you?" It turned out that when Dao Quan was given money, he showed his gratitude with thankful words. "Ma'am, you're truly a kind-hearted person." The girl looked surprised. "Oh my." The girl was surprised. Oh my, Dao Quan quickly recognized her and politely greeted, "Hello, ma'am. Nice to see you here. I always remember and appreciate your help that day." The girl happily asked back, "How have you been lately?" She was also glad to see him again. At that moment, the chairman ran over to the girl curiously. "Oh, wow, Miss Caroline, you know my Dao Quan." The girl smiled and explained, "Is the boy named Dao Quan? I saw him begging at the Brie intersection last winter." Seeing Dao Quan's face excited Caroline. "Oh my, if that's the case, can Dao Quan read this book today? He was already adorable back then, and now he's even better." The chairman politely replied, "Thanks to the support, Dao Quan learned how to read here." Caroline pulled out a book and asked Dao Quan, "Oh my, if that's the case, could we ask Dao Quan to read this book today?" The chairman stammered in explanation. Dao Quan was only supposed to come and listen today." Caroline quickly showed regret. "Really? That's too bad. I really want to hear the boy's voice reading." Seeing her regret, the chairman quickly made a suggestion. "Then would you like to try reading the last chapter as a test?" Caroline excitedly accepted. "Yes, of course I'd be happy to." After a while, Dao Quan's clear, sweet voice reading aloud was heard. "I never thought we'd meet again like this. I didn't try to remember, but that image keeps appearing in my mind. I don't understand why I feel this way. It just happened naturally. I didn't mean to. It's just that my heart seems to no longer listen to reason. So I decided to say it. I like you, ladies." After hearing this, everyone seemed pleased. Oh, it turns out Dao Quan was channeling mana through his voice while reading. He continued reading before the gentle confession of Duke Russell, who was flustered and didn't know what to do. She didn't even dare to look him in the eye, trying to avoid his gaze. Dao Quan was a bit surprised that every sound echoed clearly, a soft breath like a sigh, tears rolling down cheeks, gentle biting of the lower lip, even the different heartbeats of each person. Dao Quan sensed it all and kept reading to entertain the ladies. After hearing the story Dao Quan read, Caroline expressed her satisfaction. That moment was truly magical. Such a beautiful storytelling session. He quickly bowed to show gratitude. "Thank you so much. It's all thanks to the deputy in charge." Caroline really wanted Dao Quan to keep reading for her. "How can you speak so well? Can I listen to you read again tomorrow?" "Of course I'll prepare even better." Caroline was excited. "Oh my gosh, that's amazing." Buddy. At the second library, Dao Quan was organizing books while thinking, "Finally my body is able to use the flow of mana." Then he threw a book into the cart and saw another book. Another seemingly useful book. Dao Quan looked at the difficult book and suddenly Lakay appeared. "Read it to help you understand about sexy stuff." Although Dao Quan wasn't too surprised, he tried to act shocked. "Oh man, you scared me." Lakay teased, "Don't pretend you're not interested. You're at the age where you're curious about these things." Dao Quan asked, "What's going on?" Lakay smiled brightly and denied, "Nothing, just heard you caused a ruckus at the charity reading today, right? Too bad I couldn't hear it live. I heard you were reading at the library, so I came to check you out." Dao Quan wanted to keep working. "Anyway, I'm on duty at the police station, maybe later." Lakay remembered, "Right, you've been a bit busy lately." He worried and asked, "Is something wrong?" Lakay squatted down to pat Dao Quan. "Do you remember those guys who chased you? They're starting to cause trouble again. He plans to deal with it through management." Dao Quan immediately understood the alliance right. Then he smiled brightly, fully trusting Lakay. If Lakay takes action, those guys will definitely learn some manners. Lakay was happy to be trusted like that, what else? Then he grabbed both of Dao Quan's cheeks and rubbed them. Hearing you say that makes me feel more at ease. Too bad I won't be able to come listen to the reading tomorrow. But Dao Quan recalled the content of the book from before and guessed, based on what I read last time, Lakay is probably the villain. Yeah, but he's been nice to me. So should I call him the good guy? No worries. Thinking that, he quickly shook his head to deny the thought and became hesitant. There will be other chances. I have a feeling we'll be reading together often. Dao Quan said goodbye to Lakay. Anyway, be careful, Lakay Hyung. He happily replied, yeah, you try your best too. Suddenly, Lakay pointed at a book and reminded, read this book on days when there's no reading session. Don't waste your energy randomly. Saying that, Lakay quickly left. All right, I'm off. At this moment, only Dao Quan was left in the room and couldn't help but ponder the alliance and Lakay. I wonder what the battle between those in control will be like. His eyes grew sad. Now, how strong am I? Can I be like them? Thinking that the mana in Dao Quan's body quickly activated, then moved to his hand. The force was so strong it tore the book apart. Oh no. Seeing the book torn by himself made Dao Quan regret it. What a waste. At this moment, Dao Quan went to the deputy director's office and knocked. A voice came from inside. Is that you, Dao Quan? Come in. As he entered, he asked, Deputy Director, did you call me for something? The deputy director explained, here's the thing. The ladies who heard you read that day got hooked and couldn't get enough. Today, you'll be the main reader, right? And the ladies kept pressuring the deputy director, please let the boy read alone. If possible, I don't want any other voices interrupting. The boy will read right. She was embarrassed and didn't know how to answer. But the ladies were still very firm, leaving her no way out. The boy will read right. Yes, the deputy director could only helplessly agree. I'll do my best. After telling everything, she became tired. That's how it is. Do you think you can do it? Seeing her like that, Dao Quan reluctantly agreed. Yes, I will try my best. Deputy Director, don't worry. She couldn't help but praise, you really are a good kid. The next day, the deputy director gathered the kids again. All right, everyone, focus. You've probably heard already today we'll announce the special reader. She announced that Theo is the special reader this time. Hearing that he was surprised, me. The deputy director confirmed, definitely. That's right, let's all congratulate him. Theo looked at Dao Quan, confused. I thought it would be Dao Quan. He also clapped to congratulate. Theo, congrats. Theo thanked Dao Quan, but suddenly became modest, smiling. You read so well. You'll definitely get to a good place soon. Take care. Right after Theo was taken away, Dao Quan and two roommates upstairs watched Theo through the window. He's a good kid. It was a little sad, but the feeling didn't last long. Dao Quan continued with his reading work. Stop right there, I came because I want to hold your hand. Missing you is inevitable. There's still so much I haven't said. So I'm too busy reading for everyone who comes to me. The deputy director arranged Dao Quan's schedule with some concern. Today you have to read both morning and afternoon. Are you okay? He was surprised and asked back. So does that mean I have to read 2 sessions? She helplessly took off her glasses but couldn't do anything else. It'll be tough, but what can you do? Everyone wants to hear you read. Dao Quan was delighted to hear that, smiling brightly. I'm really grateful for that. I'm happy that everyone likes it. But the deputy director was curious. Yes. Dao Quan quickly put on a pleading puppy face. Every time I finish reading, I feel mentally drained. Can I go outside to get some fresh air during the break? No. She calmly agreed. All right. You can go, but don't go beyond the backyard. Dao Quan happily replied, I understand, thank you. Then he was allowed to walk around the grounds to a more open area. Dao Quan began exchanging mana with the outside. He opened his eyes, feeling the 4 joint and bone markers as described in the book. He connected them with lines as if drawing along blood vessels, and along that path sent a flow of mana through. The important thing was the will to move the mana through the body. Not just the thought, but a strong will was needed. Immediately, the mana power burst in one corner, then was absorbed into the body. Dao Quan clenched his wrist and let out a sigh of relief. Phew, everything else is fine. The real issue was the mana density. Is the problem with the vessel being my own body? Although I want things to move quickly, Dao Quan remained determined. I shouldn't rush. More importantly, I have to make sure I don't have weaknesses when using mana like others do. When Laki carried me to the shelter, I almost walked on my own. Even Feli and Min couldn't keep chasing me. They must have been exhausted. It seems there's a common weakness when using stored mana. Dao Quan fell into thought. Using stored mana. I wonder, is there a way to use outside mana as if it's my own? I emitted a sound full of mana-rite. With that sound, I could even push back outside mana. Dao Quan grabbed a leaf and continued thinking. If I think carefully, it would be possible if it has weight or shape right. As soon as he thought that he activated mana, immediately mana covered the leaf. That also confirmed that the theories Dao Quan proposed were accurate. I knew it. Then one day, the selector chose another roommate for Dao Quan. This special reader was Lily. Everyone give her a big round of applause. Quickly congratulated the girl. Congratulations, Lily. Go out there and live well and stay strong. Thank you. Suddenly, Lily approached Dao Quan with a shy attitude that confused him. Do you have something you want to say? Lily shyly expressed her feelings. Dao Quan, actually, I like you. But before she could finish, a voice cut in. But how strange, Lily is good too. But I don't think Dao Quan would be ignored. The director won't let him go anywhere. Don't you know the story of the goose that lays golden eggs? Ah, so they're keeping him because he makes money. Lily felt sad for Dao Quan when she heard those unpleasant things. Only then did Dao Quan turn back and say, Want Lily to say it again? Sorry, Lily, could you repeat that? But the girl quickly disappeared. Nothing serious. Lily went to a corner to cry with her friends, making Dao Quan curious. What's going on? Her friends teased her, Lily, your face is as red as a tomato. Dao Quan seemed a bit regretful. They said if we could leave, I'd want to go to a good family. Then I'd get to read new books and experience a bigger world. I might even find clues about accumulating mana. I don't know when that'll happen, but I'm kind of curious. The next day behind the main building, a pencil controlled by mana flew up. Turns out the one controlling it was Dao Quan. Now it's easier. Okay if I keep practicing like this? Suddenly, a strange flow of mana appeared, catching his attention. Dao Quan looked up at the city wall and noticed someone trying to climb in. That person was the manager who brought me here. The manager fell from a height and cursed in pain. Damn it! Dao Quan worriedly got closer. What happened? His mana was fading away. He stood up and said, Sorry, sir. But just then the gatekeeper jumped in his face, full of worry. Damn, manager, are you okay? What the hell is going on? The manager explained, Those damn Alliance bastards. Hearing the word Alliance surprised Dao Quan. Suddenly the gatekeeper called out, Hey, kid! Yes. Then he instructed, Just pretend you didn't see anything and go back inside. Dao Quan replied, Yes, sir. He felt something was off. What's going on? Something's not right. In the afternoon, when the reading session was about to start, Army rushed in to announce that the afternoon reading in the garden was canceled. Everyone was told to return to the dormitory. People were confused. So sudden. Amy didn't explain much, but told us the sponsors had already been informed, so just follow orders. Everyone whispered among themselves, wondering what was going on. This had never happened before. Suddenly, Amy came over and called Dao Quan, telling him to get ready to go. She was getting ready to go. Then she announced something. She was the special reader. Dao Quan changed her clothes, putting on an outer jacket. Then she remembered what Amy said earlier. Amy told her to get ready because she was the special reader. She felt a little worried because Amy looked different than usual. Dao Quan suspected the Alliance was the reason the manager was acting that way, but it probably had something to do with the sudden cancellation of the sponsored reading event. Not sure, though, but at that moment Amy looked over and saw Dao Quan stepping out to call her. Amy's face lit up as she asked, Are we going straight to the sponsor's place? Dao Quan was worried. Surely something was happening at the shelter. Seeing Dao Quan's slightly pale face made Amy stiffen. Dao Quan, seeing Ami, didn't respond, called out Ami, but she just ignored her and said, follow me. Curious, she asked, Is it Miss Caroline who asked to adopt me? Ami denied it. No, it's someone else. Dao Quan wondered who it could be. Asked again, but Amy couldn't answer, just opened the door wide and led Dao Quan along the trail to the shelter's auxiliary area. Ami announced, "We're here." Dao Quan was puzzled and looked up at the building. The building was filled with dark, murky mana. Suddenly, the guard inside opened the door and called Dao Quan in. "Come in, Dao Quan, we're rushing to the main business now." As she stepped inside, she saw Amy's worried face, the look on her face. The door slowly closed, but Amy didn't look very happy. Dao Quan followed the guard's lead, looking around, judging it strange that the building had no windows and inside was even darker than she expected. At that moment, a female voice rang out from inside. "In case something happens, we shouldn't let our guard down." "Do we really have to do this while we're on the run?" Dao Quan was surprised to hear that familiar voice. It was the deputy director's voice. The deputy director's voice echoed, "If we want to salvage something before pulling out, we have to do it. That terrible ritual is mandatory. What other choice do we have?" The guard guided her to sit in a chair over there and prepared to start reading. "Yes." Dao Quan was confused, not understanding what was going on. On the run, are they trying to escape the Alliance because of the last incident? What is this ritual about? At this moment, there was already a book placed on the chair. Dao Quan was curious. Should I read this book? He obeyed and immediately sat down on the chair. Suddenly, Dao Quan noticed there was a deep pit in front of him. Anyway, what's inside that pit? Dao Quan suddenly thought to himself, "Mana? I've never seen such a huge mana orb." A sound rang out urging Dao Quan to start. He heard that and spoke up. "The reading session will now begin." Under the lightning in the dawn sky, Ariel watched the face of the man lying on the bed. While reading, Dao Quan focused his thoughts on that mana pit. That pit, I feel a huge amount of mana, but it's very strange. At the same time, there's an extremely large, invisible mana presence. He continued reading the content in the book. It was a sudden encounter, but maybe that's why they could be more honest. I feel a surge of emotions: joy, longing, regret, loneliness, anger, relief, sadness, grief. Dao Quan quickly understood everything. That mana orb is the one listening to this special reading. Dao Quan kept reading and was drawn in by the mana. "Where have you been all this time? My faith is slowly collapsing." He was confused. What's going on? The more I read, the more I feel my mana being pulled toward that hole. No, I can't let it drain all my mana. I have to endure this. If they are running away, the Alliance will come. Dao Quan reassured himself. Focus. I'll try to absorb the floating mana around and control the flow. And at that moment, the mana in Dao Quan's body burst out. Then it filled the entire space. The mana formed a shield surrounding his body. He saw the mana was no longer being sucked into that hole, which made Dao Quan happy. I did it. I can completely control the mana flow. Dao Quan felt even more excited as he read. "Come closer," Dai Viridis said with a trembling voice. "Now we just need to buy more time. If I don't sense any new mana approaching, it means the Alliance hasn't reached this building yet. We have to stretch this reading as long as possible." Meanwhile, two people in the tower wondered, hasn't that kid been reading for quite a while? Is this book really this long? The deputy director was equally surprised. Shouldn't he be done by now? Both couldn't wait any longer and decided, this won't do, I have to go check. The deputy director wanted to go too. "I'll go with you." Dao Quan closed his eyes to sense. Relying on the mana flow, the director and another person started moving. Then he wondered if he had bought enough time. Suddenly a shock startled Dao Quan. Looking over, they arrived. The gatekeeper blocked the door with a statue, then ran off angrily, cursing, "Those stupid fools." Dao Quan put the book down. Puzzled, what? They all burrowed underground. He grew curious. What the hell is down there? Suddenly, the man accompanying the deputy director got slapped hard. Made BA scared. "Ouch, what was that for?" The guard kept cursing. "You rats, what have you done? Something wrong, right?" They must have done something shady and planned to escape. Both hurried to explain. "No, we just—" Dao Quan moved to the front of the statue covered with human figures. A tree. He realized things weren't as he thought. "No, this isn't what it looks like. The statue is stabbed by a sword." Dao Quan was shocked, speechless. "Mother Bao Lai." At that moment, the gatekeeper grabbed Dao Quan, scolding, "You little rat!" A voice behind reproached, "Ouch, what the hell is this?" Laquais ran over demanding an explanation. "Why are all the directors dead?" AG tried to explain Laquais they planned to escape, so Laquais didn't believe it. If they were escaping, AG should have shown proof by now. They suddenly ran off, so I followed and saw this scene. Lakay found the fruit very confusing. What's going on? Why are these fruits so strange? At that moment, AG awkwardly explained, I brought Dao Quan here to create at least one more fruit before they arrived. But somehow it ended up like this. I don't know what happened after that. Lakay sighed after hearing that. Then he stepped forward and grabbed the sword stuck in Bao Lai. He pulled it out of the statue. Dao Quan recalled the earlier words and asked Lakay, Laka, you're a swordsman, so why didn't you bring your sword? At that time, Lakay dodged and explained, I had to use it for something else. Seeing Lakay pull the bloody sword out of Bao Lai, Dao Quan suddenly grabbed his hand. Egg! Then his whole body felt like it was torn apart. Lakay looked confused and said, What's happening? Just as Lakay looked, blood suddenly splattered. Mana burst out from Dao Quan's body, leaving Lakay bewildered. What the hell? Lakay smiled at the blood-covered sword. Then he turned and said, What's going on? His pupils widened in shock. He saw AG killed by Dao Quan. Lakay couldn't help but exclaim, Looks like bloodline isn't just for show, but this goes far beyond even my expectations. It seems you've awakened your mana, our boy. But just as he finished speaking, Dao Quan flashed past him like lightning. He appeared in front of the walls. Dao Quan reached out and touched Bao Lai's face. With tearful, sorrowful eyes, he touched the hole in Bao Lai's body. Then he poured mana into the statue. A huge flow of mana spread out. Immediately painful memories appeared. What's this? Why is that person crying blood? What are these terrifying memories? A tall figure stood in the middle of blazing flames, leaving Dao Quan confused. Huh? When that person turned around, Dao Quan was extremely surprised. That's you. Quickly realizing that person was himself. Just a little more, Dao Quan almost reached it, but it felt like some force was trying to stop him. Not yet, just a little more. I don't know what it is, but something is slowly soaking in. Warm, familiar mana that I've missed. This memory. That's right. I had forgotten it. Back then, those vast words kept echoing in my heart. Dao Quan, you're only truly lonely when this place is empty. If you still hold on to those who have left in your heart, that means you're not truly alone. If you hold on to those who have gone and quietly look inside, you'll see how much they cared for and loved you. How do you look inside your heart? Close your eyes and feel it. Close your eyes and look into your heart. This mana is telling me not to lose what's precious. Even if time stops flowing, memories and love for Mom are endless. When two hands hold tight, it's still eternal. Just as he escaped those painful memories, Lakay's voice echoed in his ear. Dao Quan, it seems the tearful reunion is over. He pressed the sword to Dao Quan's neck, threatening him. Dao Quan, waiting is starting to get boring. Lakay tried to act casual to manipulate Dao Quan's mind. I just want this because it's you. I want to take you away because you're much smarter than you look. After saying that, he slung the sword over his shoulder. Everything got off track because of those fools. But whatever, while we're at it, do you want to come with me? Lake then gave Dao Quan a second option. Lake gave Dao Quan the second option. Or do you want to die silently? Killing you would just be a waste. With your skills, sooner or later, you'll be useful. You asked curiously, where are we going? Lake quickly said, we're almost there. Maybe you'll be sent to another farm. You'll manage people who will become plants and nurture the seedlings just like the one in front of you. You'll work under me, simply put. You'll work under me. Simply put, you'll become part of Riedel. Dao Quan was confused. Riedel is the organization Keza is fond of. That's my organization. Our leader plans to change the world with dark magic, and we are his loyal servants. Dao Quan wondered, his gaze darkening as he asked, Did you create that tree? Seeing Dao Quan's face like he wanted to devour him, Lake exclaimed, Your face is scary. You think I have that kind of power? I just enjoy observing the works of the high priests. He asked again, So will you go? There's not much time left. Dao Quan quickly shook his head to refuse. I'm not going. Hearing that, Lake's face immediately darkened. Then so be it. As soon as he finished speaking, he swung his sword down to finish him off. But Dao Quan quickly used mana to block it, surprising Lake. What, I can't lift the sword? Dao Quan asked Lake again. Did you kill Bao Lai's mother? He immediately replied mockingly. And if I did? Are you planning revenge? Dao Quan activated mana and declared, If that's true, I won't let you live. Seeing that huge mana source, Lake was startled. What the hell? Then Dao Quan used his mana-filled hand to slash Lake once, causing him to clutch his stomach in pain. Dao Quan calmly said, I told you to dodge. Lake wanted to curse at him, you bastard! But unexpectedly, Dao Quan was faster and immediately slashed off his tongue. I hope you don't feel too wronged because you brought this on yourself. Lake was in terrible pain, clutching his bloodied mouth. Dao Quan grew solemn and declared, "I will never forgive people like you." As soon as he finished speaking, he decisively ended Lake's life. Then Dao Quan lowered his head. Suddenly, his oil lamp startled him when he noticed a streak of light moving down the stairs. "Not just one or two people," the man ordered. "Secure the entire area, don't miss a single spot." Immediately, the whole group responded clearly. "Understood, Deputy Captain." This man was Oscar, the deputy captain of the Alliance Faith Team. Oscar observed and quickly spotted Dao Quan a kid. He praised the boy's talent. He praised his talent? Interesting ability. Relic concept, Dao Quan exclaimed in surprise. What, Oscar asked. Did you learn magic from Retail? Dao Quan saw that Oscar wasn't hostile, so he acted casual. I've never learned magic. I'm not from Retail either. Oscar was really curious about this kid he was meeting for the first time. Never learned. So where does your mana come from? Oscar asked. I taught myself, Dao Quan replied. Oscar immediately didn't believe it. Impossible. But when he saw the boy's eyes, he reconsidered. It doesn't look like he's lying. He was skeptical, but quickly let it go. He introduced himself to Dao Quan. I'm Oscar, deputy captain of the Alliance Faith Team. What's your name? Dao Quan. The boy quickly and politely introduced himself back to Oscar. I'm Dao Quan on the Faith Team, handling intelligence and reconnaissance using the Harmony Sword technique, right, sir? With the gold badge? So that's S rank, right? Oscar couldn't believe it when he heard that. He'd never seen a kid like this before. The sword was dangerous, but the boy remained cautious. Dao Quan got flustered, thinking he'd misspoken. I didn't say it wrong, did I? Oscar cleared his throat and said, Go outside first. Can you recall that sword? As Dao Quan used mana to control the sword, Oscar's eyes widened in amazement. He exclaimed, Amazing, this kind of mana from a 10-year-old. Just then, a subordinate approached and reported, Deputy Captain, I have something to report. The subordinate quickly whispered something to Oscar. Looking over, this tree was made less than 2 years ago, but it seems the spell has been broken. Oscar was puzzled after hearing that broken. If it was created by a high priest, there should at least be some trace. Maybe Father Sun got here before us. The condition of the fruit is strange, too. We need to investigate what really happened. Dao Quan approached the statue of Theo and Lily, apologizing. Sorry, Theo. I should have played with you a little longer. Lily, when you left, I should have been kinder. After speaking to his two friends, Dao Quan turned to Oscar and asked, Vice Captain, have you ever seen so many trees like this? He confirmed. Dao Quan wondered, Maybe you've been to many other farms too, right? Seeing you can still talk like usual surprised Oscar. That's surprising. I thought you'd collapse from grief. Uprooting Retail's farms is our duty. His voice was dry and strange, not like a child's. But one thing's for sure, Dao Quan said, turning to propose to Oscar. Then can I come with you? Seeing him like that, Oscar immediately noticed a clear, strong will radiating from the boy. He understood all of Dao Quan's psychological changes. The boy wasn't unaffected by the shock, just not showing it outwardly. Oscar turned away, not giving a definite answer. Investigation is the top priority. We'll decide what to do with you after that. Let's go, Theo. Dao Quan agreed and followed. After this, he noticed 2 bodies lying on the ground. Seeing the vice principal's badge, Dao Quan quickly grabbed it, then ran, Follow Oscar, let's go together, Vice Captain. After checking everything, everyone reported back to Oscar. No damage to the Pillar of Faith confirmed 13 people from Fairy Tale and 3 from the shelter camp died. Estimated 2 escaped. It seems the high priests and senior officials were involved in setting up the initial ritual. The cause of the ritual's collapse is still unknown. We've requested support from Stabilization Team 4 to analyze the report. After hearing this, Oscar praised well done. He turned to Dao Quan and asked, Where do you feel most comfortable here? He immediately replied, The library. Hearing that, Oscar decided, then we should move there. I think this conversation will be quite long. Oscar looked at Dao Quan and said, Lead the way. Then the two went to the library. After observing the place, he sat down to talk with Dao Quan. Looking around the library, there didn't seem to be any books about mana cultivation or magic use. Oscar curiously asked, So how did you teach yourself? Dao Quan explained, while controlling objects, I just figured it out on my own. Oscar was surprised to hear that. Dao Quan confidently added, a bit proud, Yes, I'm pretty smart, you know. And Oscar acknowledged that, I can tell you're not lying and you really are smart. Everything that's happened to you until now. So tell me everything that's happened to you so far. Dao Quan was a bit surprised by the request from Oscar. He honestly recounted everything starting from when he arrived at the shelter. He kept telling the story until he finally finished, and that's why I believe Mother Bao Lai gave me this power. Oscar listened and quickly responded, I understand. Though he said that he still didn't fully believe Dao Quan's story. There were still too many inconsistencies. Oscar analyzed a bit. A child who's never cultivated mana easily killing AG and Lake. I know Lake's skills well. Besides, it seems this kid even broke the ritual set by High Priest Rital. Right now, the boy is still using relic thought control without chance or magic with no sign of exhaustion. There's no way such a talent would go unnoticed. Dao Quan became cautious and wanted to ask Oscar, Can I ask one question? Seeing his curiosity, Oscar agreed comfortably. Yeah, go ahead, he asked. What is the tree? Oscar quickly explained in detail. It's a tool for the dark ritual created by Rital. It's based on human life. Dao Quan was surprised. Both the director and Rital's people mentioned the fruit they were cultivating. So is it, Oscar confirmed. Yes, it absorbs mana and forms crystals. That's the fruit, because it's a condensed form of mana, the foundation of life, so it's extremely valuable. He showed the withered fruit to Dao Quan. This is what's being messed up. Dao Quan wondered, do people eat it? This is what's being messed up, you say? He confirmed, yeah, and Oscar explained the fruit's use. Eating it instantly increases stored mana. It sells for a very high price on the black market. At this point, Dao Quan asked another question. Why do you need to read books? Oscar answered. Some magical rituals require certain conditions. We believe reading helps stabilize the tree and improve fruit quality. Hearing this, Dao Quan recalled. Thinking back when the tree was being read to it was like people listening to a story, as if completely absorbed in the tale. Then he gave his guess, I think it's stabilized. After all, before it was a tree, it was people with hearts. Oscar listened to Dao Quan's analysis considering the information and praised, that's a good observation. We are also exploring that possibility. Dao Quan wanted to ask more but feared bothering Oscar, so asked for permission. Can I ask more questions? Oscar surprisingly replied, Of course. He asked about what he was using. What is relic thought control? Oscar explained, it's a type of magic. It's magic that controls objects with mana like when you make a sword fly. Hearing this, Dao Quan both demonstrated and understood clearly. Ah, so it's a type of magic too. I still don't know much about magic. Seeing him control the sword fragment like that, Oscar couldn't help but praise. It's just a first-level relic concept, but even so, the boy is very impressive. Yes, he asked again to confirm Dao Quan's age. You said you're 10 years old, right? He confirmed yes, but in fact he was only 9 years old. At this point, Oscar voiced his curiosity. You said you want to come with us, but I'm a bit curious. You were betrayed by people who treated you well before, so why do you trust us? Dao Quan honestly answered, I don't fully trust everyone, but based on my gut feeling, Vice Captain Oscar seems like a good person. You look very bright and pure. As he said this, Dao Quan gave a radiant smile as if to prove it, which made Oscar feel awkward. I don't believe I'm bright and pure. He was a bit doubtful. So just based on that, you're willing to trust us and follow us? Isn't that a little reckless? Hearing this, Dao Quan quickly admitted, I'm very good at reading people. However, Oscar still couldn't agree right away. Besides, joining isn't something you can decide on a whim. Even if I allowed it, we can't let an outsider interfere with the Alliance's affairs. Dao Quan heard this and tried to prove his ability. I'm not incompetent. I can use both mana and relic concepts. Oscar quickly cut in with what Dao Quan wanted to say next. Listen carefully. There are things about Dao Quan that matter more than his abilities. Upon hearing this, his mood sank, becoming gloomy, making Oscar feel guilty. Trying to explain again, no Dao Quan. I mean, it's not that you have a problem. He gave a more objective explanation. It's just that making exceptions isn't easy. Besides, you're still too young. Dao Quan really didn't understand and asked, is age more important than ability? This question really left Oscar speechless. Of course, the boy's magical talent is almost undeniably genius. The fact that he defeated AG and Lake is another matter. Still, Oscar the Rabbit didn't want him to join the Alliance because it was very dangerous. No matter the ability the Alliance has to make countless decisions, And those decisions mostly come from rich experience, and experience is proportional to years lived. After hearing that, Dao Quan summarized the main point. Because I lack both, you mean I'm not mature enough. Oscar didn't mean it harshly. I'm not saying it that way, but he turned away and said, not exactly. I've only talked to you for a few hours. Oscar reluctantly accepted. All right, consider this a trial interview, he quickly asked. Why did you kill AG? He just grabbed your head. Dao Quan immediately explained the reason he killed the director and his wife that way, then acted like he would crush my head next, so I couldn't wait. Oscar said, but in the end, you killed both people. Are you sure that decision wasn't influenced by emotion? Tell me, wasn't anger clouding your judgment? Despite being questioned like this, Dao Quan firmly answered, I don't deny the crimes I committed in that moment of emotional outburst. That is an unchangeable truth, and I accept the consequences of my actions. However, I believe my anger and sadness helped me make that decision. Oscar wondered, what was the basis for that decision? Dao Quan explained, too many people have fallen victim to him. Even if he regrets it, there's no one left in this world to forgive him. And most importantly, I don't have the right to give him a chance to live. At that, Oscar asked the critical question, but do you have the right to kill him? Dao Quan clenched his fists firmly. Because he took many lives, I think that's the only fair thing to do, and I have the power to do it. He became somber and remorseful. Still, the fact remains that I decided to kill him. If anyone tells me I must be held accountable for that, I won't make any excuses. Oscar continued questioning. So was it really necessary to kill him? Dao Quan asserted something that surprised him. Yes, someone has to do it. His eyes brightened as he asked, isn't that the reason the Alliance exists? Hearing this, Oscar didn't know what else to say. The Alliance is an organization founded to carry out its mission with a core goal based on the highest values. But in reality, the ideal the Alliance pursues is a place where just looking up at the sky makes you feel at peace. A peaceful and stable world where hope still glimmers even for future generations. A goal that may never be fully achieved, but they still take on that responsibility themselves. In a way, that's the whole reason the Alliance exists. It's no exaggeration to say that all the essence of the Alliance lies there. I wanted to give high marks for that understanding and calm answer, though it wasn't what most would expect from a child. Thinking that over, he continued asking, have you ever heard of Grave? Dao Quan was curious. Grave, he explained. They're those who roam around threatening the peace and existence of the kingdom of Retail. They're among them. Right now, Team 1 is trying to destroy scattered farms across Retail and reorganize the Alliance's branches. I don't know how long it will take, but if you can help, things might change. Dao Quan still didn't quite get what Oscar was implying. What do you mean? What do you... Oscar stood up and said, come to the Alliance, prove your abilities, and we will recognize you as one of the members. He had a bit of hope. Let's see if the boy can live up to that expectation. At that moment, Oscar led Dao Quan out the camp gate. His gaze was extremely serious, making the subordinates nervous. Oscar announced, so far, the Yungtan Refuge Camp has exploited wandering people and orphans with nowhere to go, colluding with the dark cult Retail to commit the heinous crime of human sacrifice. Therefore, as the symbol of strength and knowledge of the Kingdom Alliance, we have hunted down hidden Retail members and now aim to restore order at the Yungtan Refuge Camp. That's all. If there are no questions, we will depart west at sunrise. Team 4, when you arrive, proceed with the handover and then join us. He called Senna. Sienna quickly stepped forward to receive orders. Yes, Vice Captain. Dao Quan felt the flow within Sienna. The mana flow looked like rippling mist. She noticed him staring at her and felt puzzled. Hello. Oscar introduced Dao Quan to Sienna and entrusted her. This is Dao Quan, a witness at the Yungtan scene. Escort him safely to the Alliance. She bowed to accept the order. Order received, sir. Hello. Sienna introduced herself to Dao Quan. I'm Sienna, the messenger of the Pillar of Faith. He politely replied, Hello, sir, my name is Dao Quan. Sienna informed Dao Quan in advance, It takes about 2 weeks to reach the Alliance. It's a long journey, so you should pack your things quickly. He quickly answered, It's okay, I don't have anything. Seeing him still dazed, she said bluntly, Once we leave, there's no chance to return. If you have questions, ask now. Dao Quan quickly asked, Sienna, are you an elfa? She immediately replied, a dark elf. Dao Quan couldn't help but say, but you look so bright. I thought dark elves would be gloomy or shadowy or something. Sienna was extremely confused hearing that. Dao Quan thought he had misspoken and bowed apologetically. If my question or words were wrong, please forgive me. It's just that you're the first dark elf I've met and you look really mysterious. Sienna was surprised by the compliment. Not wonderful, but mysterious, huh? Sienna explained. It's probably because of your bloodline. Dao Quan was puzzled. Yes. Sienna mounted her horse. Then let's go. Oscar also helped Dao Quan onto a horse. See you at the Alliance. Dao Quan happily replied, see you there. I'll be waiting. Before leaving, Vice Captain Oscar and Dao Quan didn't forget to greet everyone. Safe travels. Everyone waved goodbye after hearing that. Sienna spurred her horse, then the two immediately set off. Dao Quan still felt a bit reluctant and looked back. After riding for a while, they stopped and made a campfire to rest. Sienna fumbled for a bit and then handed Dao Quan something. Here, take this. I think that sword might need a sheath. Dao Quan, receiving the gift, remembered Sienna fumbling and was surprised. I was wondering what she was doing while setting up camp. Turns out it was this. He smiled brightly. Thank you, Sienna. Sienna quickly told herself, I don't like that form of address. Sir Xanner sounds weird. Hearing this, Dao Quan asked Sienna for advice on changing how they address each other. Then can I call you sister? She replied coldly, a little embarrassed. After a moment, Dao Quan finally attached something to the sheath that made Sienna curious. He smiled and explained, you'll be joining the Alliance soon, so you can call me Senior. Sienna looked at the badge attached to her sheath, then shyly turned away. Call me whatever you want. Dao Quan continued to handle the sword. Suddenly, Sienna looked over and praised, your ability is really special. Dao Quan was puzzled by the compliment. Is that so? The Captain Oscar said it's the magic of artifact teleportation, she confirmed. Well, it does seem like that on the surface, so maybe we should just tell everyone that to keep it simple. So, Dao Quan asked curiously, exactly what is my ability? Sienna answered, I've never seen anything like it before. It's an ability that seems to touch and control mana directly without needing spells or incantations. That kind of power is something only the ancient elven race could possess. Dao Quan asked curiously about the ancient elves. Sienna patiently explained about the original race that created the elves before they split into branches like her today. She made a statement. Looking at your eye color, I can tell your parents aren't ordinary people. Dao Quan felt down hearing about her parents, but was also a little curious. Parents, huh? The next morning, the two continued on their way. While walking, Sienna suddenly called Dao Quan and pointed ahead, introducing, that's the Alliance. Inside was very grand and lively. People strolled casually on the street, and Sienna rode her horse slowly so Dao Quan could look around. The Alliance is divided into residential and commercial areas. Resources and races from all over gather here. The Alliance is the strongest fortress on the 6 continents, but it's not just because of the walls. Dao Quan asked curiously. Then why is that? She explained, because it's where the strongest people in the world gather. That's why it's called the Sword and the Book of the 6 Continents. This place is the center of military forces supporting the kingdom, restraining the 6 duchies and protecting citizens from the grave. After hearing this, Dao Quan understood the Alliance better. Got it. Finally, the two arrived at their destination. We're here, Sienna said, looking at the house ahead. This is your new home. The door immediately opened. Sienna then led Dao Quan inside. Someone quickly came to greet them. You must be tired, Miss Sienna. Sienna politely replied, Hello, Director Lazarus. This man was the director of the Alliance Administration Bureau. Lazarus quickly recognized Dao Quan. You must be Dao Quan. May I suggest we have a little chat with you? She nodded after hearing that. Then Lazarus led Dao Quan into a luxurious room. Stepping into such a bright place made Dao Quan can't help but exclaim, I had a feeling before, but this place is really bright. Is this where the military forces gather? He recalled what Sienna had said earlier. That's why it's called the Sword and the Book of the Continent. This is where the military forces supporting the kingdom gather, restraining the 6 duchies and protecting the citizens from grave threats. Dao Quan stared out, a bit curious about his power. Of all the people I have met, he's the brightest and most intense. How strong is this guy? Suddenly, he put down the document in his hand. Then he reached to hold Dao Quan's hand, not forgetting to ask, "May I hold your hand?" When Lazarus firmly grasped his hand, Dao Quan immediately felt a surge of power. Mana radiated from Lazarus's body, surprising Dao Quan. This is unbelievable, to be able to control mana so delicately. He recalled how he had controlled the sword blade earlier. This is a completely different way of controlling mana compared to what I did. What I know is just a tiny part. Dao Quan excitedly said, "There are so many people who can control mana so skillfully." At that moment, Lazarus noticed the badge on the sword's sheath and asked, "Is that the pin you stole from the deputy director of the relief camp?" Dao Quan explained, "I didn't steal it. The report said so." Dao Quan clarified, "I didn't steal it. It originally belonged to my grandmother." Lazarus was curious. "So you took back what belongs to you. Can I have a look?" He tried to pull his hand back but couldn't, which confused him. "Oh, Dao Quan seems to realize I can't pull my hand away. I can't move. It's like our mana has connected and refuses to separate." The director's mana control was extremely precise, but every movement carried immense power. "If I can endure both gravity and mana pressure at the same time like this..." Dao Quan closed his eyes. Then their hands separated, making Lazarus very satisfied. "Haha, now I have to admit Dao Quan's ability. I've been wondering what kind of power can move objects without needing spells or incantations. It's truly unbelievable. I'm really amazed." Dao Quan picked up the sword sheath, blaming himself for being careless. "I only copied his mana control out of curiosity, but I didn't expect to be seen through." Lazarus took the sword sheath and examined it. When he looked at the badge, he used mana to sense it, surprising Dao Quan. The director's mana clearly fluctuated just now. Lazarus returned the sword sheath to Dao Quan and didn't forget to thank him. "Thanks for letting me see it. That's a very beautiful pin." Dao Quan also wanted to ask him, "May I ask you something?" "Of course," he answered. Dao Quan asked a very innocent question. "Are you the strongest person in the Alliance?" Lazarus laughed heartily, denying it. "Ha, not at all, not at all. I'm just an old raccoon helping the Alliance members." Dao Quan didn't know he was joking, so he answered seriously, "You don't really look like a raccoon. Raccoons usually have fluffier fur." Lazarus quickly explained, I meant it figuratively. Anyway, not only are the 7 top captains experts, but extremely powerful. There's also the chief commander, a master, and the governor, the highest authority of the Alliance. Compared to them, I'm just a raccoon." After answering, Lazarus asked again, "So do you have any more questions?" Dao Quan quickly replied, "No, definitely not. If I have more questions, can I come see you again?" He gently rubbed his head and agreed, "Of course. Next time, remember to make an appointment. I'm pretty busy." Being patted on the head and approved for a meeting made Dao Quan happy. He's a great person, kind and strong. I like him. "Thank you, Director. I'm really glad to have come to the Alliance." At that moment, Sienna led Dao Quan to a door. "Dao Quan, this is your new home, the Alliance Academy." Dao Quan was confused. Alliance Academy. She quickly explained, "When team members with families go on missions, they send their kids here. Since it's a school, you'll learn something. You'll be treated as a potential team member and receive basic education along with training for 5 years. However, because the Alliance is a confluence of swordsmanship, magic, and skills from many countries and sects, we don't teach specific secrets or unique styles, just theory and basics." After hearing this, Dao Quan exclaimed, "Wow!" His eyes lit up, excited about school. Seeing Dao Quan like that, Sienna smiled happily. In the dark, the two stood there watching for a while. The next day at the Alliance Academy, Dao Quan received his uniform. Wearing it looked very attractive. Even Ms. Gaio had to compliment, "The uniform suits you well." "Thank you, ma'am." He wondered, "Are you a teacher?" After hearing this, the teacher shyly introduced herself. "Oh my, I forgot to introduce myself. I'm Daphne, the head of academic affairs. I teach foreign languages." Daphne handed Dao Quan the class schedule. "Here's the timetable and list of subjects for first year. Besides the compulsory subjects, you can freely choose classes." Dao Quan quickly took it and marked, Mana Knowledge, Basic Swordsmanship, Basic Magic Research, Herbalism, Astronomy. This and that, everything looks interesting and worth learning. After marking, he happily told her, I've noted everything for you to see. After looking it over, Daphne was startled. This. Then she advised Dao Quan, think about it, it's too much. If you schedule your classes like this, it will definitely be very tough. If you fall behind and fail a subject, that would be a big problem, right? But Dao Quan was still very determined. But everything looks so fun and I want to learn it all. Daphne tried to persuade her further. It's not just the class time, there's homework and exams too, so it will be really hard to keep up. You can't always have things your way. But Dao Quan didn't seem to care and asked her, why is learning hard? The teacher was at a loss hearing this. We have a strange kid here. At this point, Daphne patiently explained, okay, I'll share this issue fully with the other teachers. So shall we go to the first class now? Dao Quan happily replied, yes, Miss Daphne. At that moment, the classroom door opened. The kids were chatting with each other. So yesterday, it was like Miss Daphne led Dao Quan into the classroom. Dao Quan looked up around her pupils, quickly widening when she saw the classmates. Just as she thought, all the kids had a much denser mana than hers. As expected, the key lies in my body. Miss Rafi introduced Dao Quan to everyone a bit late. This is Dao Quan, the new student. After the introduction, the teacher urged Dao Quan to introduce herself. Standing in front of all the classmates made Dao Quan feel familiar. Being in front of everyone like this reminded her of the times she read books. Dao Quan confidently introduced herself to everyone. Hello, everyone. I'm Dao Quan from the orphanage. I look forward to getting along with all of you. Dao Quan's words and charming face seemed to captivate even Miss Rafi. The teacher quickly snapped herself out of it, alerting herself. All right, very good. Go sit at that empty seat. Yes, ma'am. Dao Quan went down to find a seat and quickly sat down. Miss Rafi started teaching. All right, today we will read a fairy tale on page 24 of the literature textbook. She asked Dao Quan with concern. Can you read? Yes, Dao Quan honestly replied. Yes, I learned at the orphanage. Hearing this, Miss Rafi decided, then let's hear Dao Quan's reading. The whole class said in unison, yes. At that moment, he flipped open the book and was surprised. This is what Dao Quan recalled Ami saying. Let's see. The silkworm is never lonely. Bella's the wise enjoys the delicious droppings of the golden pig Miss Feathered Dao when I was still at the orphanage. That's not Miss Feathered Dao. The fairy tale Ami tested her with last time. So Dao Quan began reading the book to her classmates. The girl tried every way to get rid of the hair growing on her knees, but the more she pulled, the more and thicker the hair grew. She wondered to herself, why do I have such a bad reaction seeing this book on the final test? Did I unconsciously empathize with the CPS girl with invisible hair who's hiding the truth that she's part of Ritali? Don't overthink it. Unless I meet Amy again and hear it directly from her, I'll never really know how she feels. I think people are harder to understand than studying. Dao Quan kept reading. I'm not sad anymore, which made the girl sitting behind him listen more attentively. After Dao Quan finished reading, everyone was surprised and applauded. Wow, even Rafi was surprised. The teacher exclaimed, an extraordinary kid has enrolled. After that, Dao Quan quickly got surrounded by the girls chatting. Everyone praised Dao Quan's reading. That was amazing. This is the first time I've heard Miss Daphne praise someone so much it's like the insults came to life. Receiving those compliments, Dao Quan politely replied, thank you, everyone. While walking, Dao Quan suddenly sensed mana and quickly looked up. He saw the girl sitting behind him. The kid just now was Dao Quan. Dao Quan suddenly remembered something. He suddenly recalled something. It had to be that girl. The girl who appeared in the tree vision. The girl stepped forward, wanting to shake Dao Quan's hand. I'm Sophie Pobel, class president and student council representative. Nice to meet you. Dao Quan politely replied. Yeah, let's do our best, Sophie asked curiously. Next class is an elective. Which one did you pick? He immediately answered, I signed up for basic swordsmanship. The girl quickly confirmed her earlier guess. I figured since you have a dagger on your belt, right? So you want to join the alliance too? Dao Quan got flustered. Yeah, well, later I just added all the electives. Then he voiced his question. But to join the alliance, do you really have to learn swordsmanship? I don't think holding a sword suits me much. Suddenly, Sophie stared at Dao Quan, strangely making him confused and wonder. Did I say something wrong? Finally, the group arrived at the swordsmanship elective class. The teacher was already waiting at the front, shouting loudly, "Hurry up! First come, first served." The students froze at that. Then Dao Quan quickly dashed forward, confusing those around him. A couple of his kind friends reminded him, "Dao Quan, we ran ahead first, try to keep up with us. Don't get left behind." But Dao Quan didn't even have time to understand what was going on to reply. He quickly realized everyone was using mana, not just him, but all the kids here. Thinking that, Dao Quan sprinted ahead, leaving those two friends behind. Huh? Who's that? They're insanely fast. Sophie glanced over while running and quickly recognized the super-fast runner. Dao Quan, she couldn't believe that speed. It was unbelievable how he passed everyone in the blink of an eye. While running, he laughed loudly, haha. His whole face showed pure joy. "You guys try to catch up with me, if you can." He felt really happy, sensing the mana surging all around. The students grew confused. What's going on here? Everyone be careful. Hearing the panicked shout, the teacher looked up and saw Dao Quan leading. Surprised. Is that the new kid? Running crazy fast. He rubbed his chin, a bit incredulous. Didn't expect such a tiny kid to run that fast. Or maybe he had been concentrating mana beforehand. He decided to pay closer attention to the kid. The teacher shouted, urging the students, "Keep running. Don't stop. I want to see who lasts till the end." The group, tired but trying, replied in unison, "Yes, sir." After finishing the run, the group lined up into 4 even rows. Dao Quan showed no signs of tiredness. On the contrary, he was extremely excited. Running with friends while using mana, this was their daily routine at school. Sophie, beside him, was puzzled, seeing he didn't sweat a drop. Is he even human? She recalled that even though she had outrun him before he caught up and ran a full lap ahead, running like that, he didn't look tired at all. Seeing Sophie staring, Dao Quan smiled brightly and said, "That was fun just now, right, Sophie?" The girl hesitated and answered, Yeah, just as I thought. He's a demon." At that moment, the teacher approached Dao Quan and asked, "You rested enough." He introduced himself to Dao Quan. "I'm Mr. Diego Sanchez. From now on, I'll be teaching you basic swordsmanship, okay?" Dao Quan smiled and replied politely, "Looking forward to your guidance." Mr. Diego pointed to the wooden swords nearby and instructed, "Now I'll start teaching seriously. Everyone grab a wooden sword." The kid, still tired and not ready, groaned, "Ugh, I want to rest a bit more." Diego crossed his arms and warned, "Stop acting like little kids." Then he noticed Dao Quan nearby and urged, "Go get your sword now." "What are you still doing?" Dao Quan awkwardly explained. "I just remembered when Lakay attacked me with a sword. It felt weird." He added, "I just don't want to hold it." Diego watched Dao Quan's expression and asked, "Are you afraid of swords?" Dao Quan didn't answer, seemingly confirming the question. Suddenly, he placed a hand on Dao Quan's shoulder to comfort him. "Swords are very dangerous, so being careful with them is right." Still, Diego acted like a teacher guiding Dao Quan. But after all, it's just a tool. Isn't it true that it changes depending on the heart of the one holding the sword? The sword is proof of that heart, so face it head on at least once. Getting encouragement from him made Dao Quan rethink, it's just a tool. Dao Quan questioned himself, if Laka held a staff instead of a sword, would I hate the staff too? Thinking that, he grew brave and stepped toward the swords. Then he picked up one, thinking, I still don't want to be a great swordsman. But swordsmanship doesn't mean I should run away. With that thought, Dao Quan swung the sword, surprising Diego. He felt a bit regretful. It seems she has the potential to be a great swordsman. Too bad her will is a bit weak. After all the students picked up their swords, Diego gathered them and said, "Now we'll have sparring matches. Any way you want, just charge forward with the determination to defeat your opponent." He immediately paired Dao Quan and Sophie for the sparring. To be fair, the two who win first will fight each other. They quickly looked at each other. Sophie surprised, thinking, "Me and Dao Quan." Dao Quan was equally surprised, fighting Sophie. The classmates below discussed, even if Dao Quan wins and runs away, sword fighting is still really tough, right? The other girl affirmed, "Of course, the Pobel family's swordsmanship is famous throughout the kingdom." Teacher Diego, acting as referee, said, When you two are ready, start. At this moment, Sophie was ready in a fighting stance. Her eyes were so determined it caught Dao Quan off guard. He observed Sophie's sword grip. I've never really seen swordsmanship before, but hers was like a solid rock. It didn't feel as bad as before. Dao Quan looked at the sword, wondering, so is that good swordsmanship? At this point, he seemed ready, holding the sword defensively with precision. Well, I'll just take this chance to learn. Seeing Dao Quan's stance surprised both Diego and Sophie. A perfect attack and defense stance. She really couldn't believe this was Dao Quan's first time holding a sword this steadily. Who would believe it's his first time holding a sword? Sophie was determined, I can't lose at running or sword fighting. This is for me and the pride of the Pobel family. I absolutely can't lose. As soon as she finished thinking, Dao Quan quickly charged to attack Sophie, which surprised her. Dao Quan was equally surprised. He dodged her sword. He started calculating, next time Sophie's sword will aim at... At that moment, Sophie lunged to attack, but from what Dao Quan observed, she aimed for the chest, then the shoulder, and finally the head. But all those moves were completely blocked. Sophie's fear made her attack more fiercely, pushing Dao Quan backward, but he managed to rush forward and land a strike. But the sound of Teacher Diego's command stopped them. Stop! Stop? Dao Quan was surprised. Sophie was also breathing heavily from exhaustion. She realized the sword had stopped even before Teacher Diego gave the order. Not over yet. It's like he read my entire sword path. Sophie wondered, how far ahead can he see? Finally, she decided to admit defeat. I lost, but let's fight again. Dao Quan smiled brightly and replied, After a moment, a voice praising them rang out, Dao Quan, your match today was really impressive. It was Sophie. She kept marveling, who would have thought you'd be so good even though it's your first time holding a sword? You must have a natural talent for swordsmanship. Dao Quan humbly explained, the first 2 times were just luck. The last 2 times I completely lost. Sophie seemed really fond of Dao Quan. Thanks for saying that. Next time I'll challenge you again. Then her friend nearby spoke up. Great, next class is basic magic. Another friend chimed in. That means a longer break. Dao Quan curiously asked, why is magic class considered break time? Sigh, the others, itching to answer, quickly said, the teacher is really good, but no matter how good a teacher is, learning magic is still tough. Dao Quan asked, is learning magic really that hard? And which teacher teaches it? The friend was shocked that Dao Quan knew nothing. Dao Quan, you seriously don't know anything. He started explaining, the basic magic teacher is the former honored commander, and now the head of the magic department, Professor Arthur. In the magic classroom, the door opened wide. Professor Arthur entered solemnly under the gaze of all the students. Sophie quietly introduced him to Dao Quan. You remember what I told you earlier, right? He was once an honored commander, and now the head of the magic department. Dao Quan was very interested seeing Professor Arthur. His mana is denser than the director's. I wonder how strong the strongest person in the Alliance must be. At that moment, he spoke up to ask. I heard today there's a new student joining. Dao Quan stood up and greeted, Hello, teacher, I'm Dao Quan. From today, I'll be part of this class. Teacher. A thought introduced himself to Dao Quan. I'm a thought, the basic magic teacher. Noticing the students' appearances, he said, Well, for some auditing students, this might be a boring class. Dao Quan replied honestly, But I want to become a mage and join the Alliance. Teacher A Thought smiled warmly and praised, That's the spirit, kid. Then he wanted him to realize a hard truth. But Dao Quan, do you know the path you're aiming for is even farther than swordsmanship? Dao Quan then remembered what his friends had said before, farther than swordsmanship. Is that why he reacted like that earlier? Dao Quan honestly answered, No, I don't know why. Teacher, a thought, asked Sophie sitting nearby to answer. Sophie, why don't you answer this one? She quickly explained, To master magic, you need not only deep knowledge, but also it places a huge burden on both mind and body. Even if you have special talent for magic, you won't be recognized as a top-tier mage without at least 15 training sessions. Teacher A Thought confirmed, Exactly so with magic, it's very hard to become a member of the Alliance right after graduation. Dao Quan quickly fell into thought. Being just a top-tier mage isn't enough to be a direct combat asset. At best, they can be a reserve member like Austria before becoming an active member, someone on the front line close to rank 2. Even then, Dao Quan calmly asked again, "So as long as I reach BA rank magic before graduating, that's enough?" The teacher of thought was shocked and asked, "Dao Quan, do you know what BA rank means?" He awkwardly replied, "No, I don't know much about magic." Hearing that the teacher turned to start teaching, I don't blame you for approaching it so randomly. So take this chance, I'll teach you why swordsmanship is the core of the Alliance and why magic is increasingly seen as an academic pursuit of knowledge and intellect. Now here's the formula to recreate a rocket. Does anyone know where this formula is wrong? Dao Quan quickly recognized these symbols. That looks like the formula I saw near the pit, and these look strangely complicated. What does it say? His eyes focused intently on the lecture. Teacher A. Thought pointed at the board. Cut the students some slack. It's normal you don't understand, so don't be disappointed. But the rocket is one of the most basic magics. Even though it looks complicated, the rocket is one of the most basic magics. More advanced magics are far beyond your imagination right now. A flame quickly appeared from the symbols. Dao Quan was surprised but noticed something off. Something's unstable. Even though it's fire, it looks like it's about to melt and disappear. Teacher of Thought continued teaching. However, the formula is that sensitive. Even after draining all my mana, just a tiny mistake can make everything collapse. He added a stroke with his hand, and immediately the flame burned stronger, amazing the students. Finally, he concluded, so mages have to analyze the entire formula just to find one mistake or make even the smallest change. Ordinary patience and understanding won't be enough. Turning a rocket into a fireball not only needs more mana, but also puts much more stress on the mind and body. That's not all. Compared to swordsmanship, magic hits its limits faster. Does anyone know why? At that moment, Sophie quickly raised her hand to answer. The girl explained, because although both use mana channeling mana into a weapon, as an aura is much more efficient than materializing it into magic. Teacher Arthur praised, that's right, Sophie, very good. Because magic consumes a lot of mana, it puts a heavy burden on both the body and mind. Dao Quan had been controlling his pen to copy the lesson all along. The teacher's explanation still echoed in his mind. Its power depends on the amount of mana the mage has. Dao Quan finally understood. Just as he thought, if a mage's power is proportional to their mana, then with his relatively low mana, using powerful magic would be very difficult. But if I study the process of casting magic and the related phenomena, can't I still use more powerful spells? At that moment, Teacher Arthur asked, what do you think is necessary to cast this magic? Dao Quan quickly answered, the formula written on the board, sir. He erased the formula on the board, both confirming and denying, correct, but you can't handle such a long formula. Every time you cast magic, that's why this huge amount of information is usually drawn as concentric circles. It's commonly called a magic circle. Dao Quan quickly associated it with the markings on Director Lotta's body. Could that also be a magic circle? Dao Quan raised his hand to ask, sometimes people carve it onto their bodies, right? Teacher Arthur explained, they do that to cast commonly used spells faster. He thought about it and then reflected, it's like a symbol. If the formula is an equation, then the magic circle is the symbol. Dao Quan immediately asked, so is it a matter of translating the formula's language? Teacher Arthur was very surprised and asked, why do you think that? Dao Quan explained, the formula you wrote on the board looks like a blueprint to materialize a fireball. If we consider the magic circle a symbol, then speaking aloud must be part of its language, right? He was sweating and didn't know what to say, thinking to himself, she's just a freshman. Yet she's thinking about things only seasoned mages can. Teacher Arthur immediately praised, that's an impressive answer. Well done. Putting the right words in the right place. That's the essence of chanting. Each word, when charged with mana and spoken aloud, carries equivalent power. We call that the true name or incantation like this, a fireball summoned by him. Then he continued to explain, it's not only the arrangement of carefully chosen words, but also non-verbal elements like tone speed and emotional state that all connect. Dao Quan noticed, it's like reciting poetry. Then he reflected, thinking back, no performance has moved me this much. So it turns out it's not an easy task at all. After all this theory, Teacher Arthur asked again, Well, I think you've had enough of magic for now. Are you still determined as before? Dao Quan confidently said, Yes, actually, I'm even more interested now. Teacher Arthur praised, Good job. In the coming classes, we will start studying ancient languages. I will give each of you a book, so try to think about the essence of these ancient languages. After class ended, all the students felt extremely exhausted. In a hallway, Sophie walked beside him, constantly muttering, Homework, homework, endless homework. Seriously, why did I sign up for so many classes? The girl looked at Dao Quan with admiration. I mean, I'm one thing, but Dao Quan, you're on a whole different level. I heard you've packed your schedule all week except for lunch breaks. Then she added, Yeah, studying is the most interesting thing. Sophie felt helpless hearing that he's a bit annoying, you know. Sophie asked, So Dao Quan, where's your room? Dao Quan immediately pointed down the hall, the second room at the end of the hall. Sophie quickly said, Oh, you share a room with Lucas. Dao Quan became curious. Lucas? Finally, they said goodbye to each other. See you tomorrow. Yeah, good night. Back in his room, Dao Quan focused on his homework. Then he thought, These characters are really complicated, but after decoding them, I understand how to build the formula. Because I can't use powerful magic with my current mana level. Maybe I should create magic that fits me better. After a while, Dao Quan actually created a fireball. There I did it. Even though I made mistakes during the test, if I dismantle and restructure the formula like this, it controls the flame. Then suddenly his eyes opened. After that, he fainted on the ground. Outside, it was already late at night. Then the roommate came back, saw Dao Quan lying unconscious on the ground, and asked confusedly, Why is he sleeping here?